winning this fight tonight with our name lit up in lights. We are the new kings, winning this fight tonight with our name lit up in lights.
Friday Night Stars, presented by Whataburger. When tangy Southern-style sauce and slaw meet a bacon cheese Whataburger, you get the Southern Bacon Double Burger. 2 patties, bacon, cheese, pickles, onions, and slaw on a 5-inch bun. Back for a limited time at participating locations.
It's the second weekend in November, and that can mean only one thing. It's Texas high school football playoff time. On this edition of Friday Night Stars, brought to you by Whataburger inside the Globe Life studios here at the Star in Frisco. Bill Jones, along with Kyle Yeomans, who is oh so fired up to talk playoff football. Yes, it is here.
It's different when playoffs come around because it's win or go home. You get one opportunity, and that's it. You lay it all out on the field, or you might not get another shot. So this is when it really matters most. We've talked about playoff positioning for nearly 10 weeks at this point, but now we have an opportunity to finally play the games and see who reigns supreme in Texas high school football.
Yes, it's a tournament to decide a champion. Oh, college football could use this so much. They'll start having a little bit more of a facsimile.
We'll get there.
Yes, we are getting there. All right, so let's kick things off with the Whataburger Game of the Week, and we take you to Class 6A, Division I, the bi-district matchup between the Keller Indians and the North Crowley Panthers. And what a season North Crowley has put together under head coach Ray Gates, a 10-0 regular season.
Yeah, it's been fantastic seeing what North Crowley has done to this point. Of course, Tyler Smith, starting offensive lineman for the Dallas Cowboys, played his high school ball at North Crowley. But look at some of the numbers they've put up at the 6A level. It's almost video game-like what they've put to the test. 530 yards per game, tops in DFW. They've allowed only 66 yards per game on the ground. I mean, they are fantastic on both sides of the football, and they do it all. They've scored at least 40 points in every game this season. It starts with their quarterback, Chris Jimerson, over 2,200 yards. He has the big arm talent, but he has some weapons on the outside that he throws the football to. He's a dual-threat quarterback. He will take it and run with it if he needs to, but he'll certainly hand it off as well. This is a North Crowley team that's not really 3 yards in a cloud of dust because they do like to use that ground game. Instead, it's really like 14 yards in a cloud of dust because they can't be stopped on the offensive side of the football. Keller's going to have a tough task against North Crowley because they've lost 3 of their last 5. But when they've lost those games, it's been against Southlake, Byron Nelson, Timber Creek, good football teams that have taken down this Keller Indian squad in the last 5 weeks. But when they want to run the ball, they can. Nearly 5 yards per carry for Keller. If they want to slow down and take the possessions out of the hands of North Crowley, that'll be their best opportunity to win this game.
And North Crowley, a state-ranked team, along the lines of a Southlake Carroll, a Byron Nelson. This will be a very tough test for Keller, and Chris Jimerson, the quarterback there for North Crowley, is committed to TCU, probably play wide receiver at the college level, but great facility there. They're coming off a big win over their crosstown rivals from Crowley, 56-21 last week. What a Friday night it will be at Crowley ISD Stadium. All right, let's move on to Game of the Week number 2. We're going to stay in Class 6A, Division II here. The Denton-Guyer Wildcats playing at the Coppell Cowboys.
I would make a case for this being the real game of the week in round 1 by district action. But Denton-Guyer, it doesn't necessarily look like the same Denton-Guyer of old when we saw Eli Bowman at quarterback. Instead, they're 7-3, but they can still put up those numbers, and you see the way they compare against the undefeated Coppell Cowboys. Guyer, overall, of course, you've seen what they've done these last 2 seasons with the 21 wins, but it's Isaac Heaney that really sets the table. Harney, 1,400 yards, 18 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. They also rely on that ground game and their defense to lead the way. They have multiple 400-yard rushers in the backfield. But watch out for this Coppell Cowboys team. Of course, District 6, 6A champions. They finished the season undefeated underneath Coach Antonio Wiley. That has really their toughest test of the year, I believe, in Guyer. They'll rely on junior quarterback Edward Griffin, who finished with 30 touchdowns and just 1 interception on the season, but this might be the toughest defense he's faced all year long. I wouldn't be surprised if this one comes down to who has the football last.
Yeah, it's a very intriguing matchup, especially when you consider the playoff pedigree that Geyer has. They made it all the way to the state semifinals with Landry Award winner Jackson Arnold at quarterback, Peyton Bowen in the secondary as well for them last year. And Coppell, sort of the upstart a little bit. They've had some runs in the past, back when Cam McDaniel played for Coppell once upon a time. But this should be a fun game there in Coppell.
And I feel like that might be one of the undersung elements to this matchup is the experience versus the non-experience. Coppell, on paper, has been the better team this year, but Geyer has been the most tested team and the most playoff-ready team. So you're going to see which one outweighs the other. I think at this point, I would probably give the edge to Coppell to maybe get the job done and remain undefeated on the year.
They are certainly on a roll this season. All right, in Class 5A Division I, how about this by-district matchup as the Spartans of Burleson Centennial travel to Red Oak to take on the unbeaten Red Oak Hawks of Coach Melvin Robinson. Before we talk about this one, how about we hear from the Red Oak Hawks?
Believe what got us here. Continue to do what got us here, and we did. It means that anything's possible. But first year, the head coach here, I said, well, look, guys, we had a good program. We had a good thing going on. And we decided to go ahead and keep it here. I was so glad. I'm glad and coaching my son and playing with guys that he went to school with. And
10-0. 10-0. Best coach in Texas.
Right?
It means everything. Knowing my dad is the first head coach to have a perfect record in district championship, I mean, he's that guy.
10-0, man, it was hard. It was hard keeping the kids focused every day. But we got great coaching staff. We believe, they believe, and 10-0. Here we are.
It's kind of crazy because everybody does it. We was picked to be number 4 in district. And now that we came out on top, it means a lot. That we proved everybody wrong, but we still proving ourselves right.
It feels great. Knowing last year we had lost 2 games in we lost 2 games in district, be able to shake back the next year, just being able to go undefeated in district because that's never been done in school history.
They were happy and they deserved it. They worked hard in the spring, and like I said, we have a coaching change. We had 5 new coaches this year, 5 new coaches, and they came right in and plugged it in real well and unbelievable.
You can see why they're smiling in Red Oak, right?
No doubt about it. I mean, so much energy from this Red Oaks Hawks team, and it's a team that's been winning differently than they traditionally have. They've always had good matchups. Of course, you heard there saying first undefeated season in school history. You have the district championship to go with it. But when Red Oak has been successful as a program, they've done it by scoring high numbers on the offensive side. This year, they really win it with their defense. Only 10 points allowed in their last 2 games combined. They've held opponents in 8 games underneath 20 points. And I really like what their linebacker, Zach Smith, who's committed to SMU, brings to the table. They're matched up with a really good Burleson Centennial squad that still runs that wing T attack. They like to run the football effectively. Burleson Centennial 7-3 on the season. They've lost 3 of their last 5, but again, much like we talked about earlier in the segment, whenever these teams go on these losing streaks, it's usually against really good opponents. They've lost to Aledo, Denton Ryan, and Justin Northwest. So those are the 3 losses. They're coming off of a win over Azle in their regular season finale where they put up over 35 points. So expect Burleson Centennial to challenge this Red Oak defense, but if Red Oak can put up some points, they're going to continue to keep that undefeated season alive.
And as we wrap up this first segment of the show, Class 6A Division I by-district matchup, I'm going to call this the Kyler Murray Bowl because some of you may not know Kyler Murray began his high school career at Louisville High School about a decade ago before transferring to Allen, and they're matching up in by-district.
Yeah, and this is a rematch of last year's by-district matchup that was won by Louisville. It was a 43-18 win from the Farmers, and in that game, Ethan Terrell had 5 total touchdowns, 4 of which on the ground. He's their quarterback, so if that tells you anything, they're going to run the football. They also have Byron Ellison. He's the leader on offense from a tailback standpoint. Both were crucial in this matchup last year, and the 5 touchdowns for Terrell really led the way, but this is a different Allen team this time around. They fell in this game last year. That was when they had Michael Hawkins. They don't have Hawkins anymore, who transferred to Frisco Emerson, and Allen has really played well throughout the season, except when playing against Geyer and Prosper. They take down a really good McKinney squad. They lost both of those games against Geyer and Prosper by less than 7 points. This is going to be a high-flying matchup. Both offenses like to get off the ground. It's whoever can have the big stop late that's going to come out on top.
Yes, it should be a good one. That game to be played tonight at Plano's John Clark Stadium. We're just getting started here on Friday Night Stars. When we come back in a moment, let's check out the action from the playoff teams in the Frisco Independent School District.
This segment was brought to you by Whataburger. What's better than Whataburger? How about more Whataburger? Download the Whataburger app and start earning points toward free food with Whataburger Rewards.
Showdowns at the Star. We've got one tonight. We've got one on Friday night, and they're both from Class 5A Division I. It's W.T. White taking on the Lone Star Rangers out of Frisco ISD tonight. And then tomorrow night, it's the Reedy Lions of Frisco ISD against the Carrollton Newman Smith Trojans. And our expert on Frisco ISD, Kyle Yeomans. How about these Lone Star Rangers playing just a few minutes from now?
Yeah, and it really is the Lone Star Rangers of old. They can run the football effectively. They have some weapons on the outside if they can work them into the flats, get outside the numbers, but they really win with their defense and their linebacking core. I really like Rusalilo in the middle. This is a guy that really runs downhill. He's able to hit. He's able to strip the ball away. He has 4 forced fumbles on the year. Lone Star is a team that plays much to the Jeff Rayburn ways that they've seen from some playoff runs in the past. Expect them to do it again this year.
All right, and I mentioned the Reedy Lions. Let's take an up-close look at that team now.
Starting our playoff push, we were blessed to have the bye week, week 10. And when you're in the playoffs, it's a really good seed. So we've used this time to slow down, work some individual stuff, and talking about how it's big play season for our kids. There's going to be a fine line that separates the win and the loss. And you got to put yourself in that position, and you got to be ready to make that big play.
We're getting our minds right. We're getting our bodies right for this upcoming game against Newman Smith. They're in the playoffs. We're in the playoffs. 2 good teams going against each other, man.
And you just think about that situation that they get to come to the Star, and start their playoff run as well. Man, I mean, there's going to be some electricity in the air.
I feel like we can do it. I feel like we have the talent. We have the leadership. We have the compassion, and I mean, just gonna have to win big ball games and have playmakers step up in big situations, which we've shown that we can do. And I feel really good about our playoff run that we're about to have.
Our coaches put in hours and hours of work. They look out for us. They pretty much do everything for us.
What makes us like as good as that team last year is just our brotherhood and how we come together as a team, how we play as a team, and just what the coaches instill in us from the off season.
You look at our playoff run last year. I mean, weeks 2 and 3 of the playoffs were an overtime and a loss by 2 points on a 2-point conversion. So it's tight, and that's the fun of the Texas high school playoffs. You never know, but we won our shot at it.
What a job they've done at Reedy High School as well as Lone Star High School. And I was looking at the bracket here, Kyle, and you could see a regional championship matchup between those 2 Frisco ISD schools, but there's a long way to go before that.
Oh yeah, long way to go, and if that's going to even happen, Lone Star is going to have to win their matchups. Reedy may have to go through Longview in that second round matchup as well. As long as they get the job done, they've continued to win games. They played that 35-32 matchup with Lone Star in the regular season. They're one bounce away that goes in their favor from being 10-0 in back-to-back regular seasons. So that's a credit to what Chad Cole and the Reedy Lions have done. Now they're looking to put together a playoff run, maybe take down a Longview team that's still really, really good. Don't get me wrong, out of the East Texas ranks, they still have a shot to make a deep run themselves, but Reedy has that on the mind, and they'll look to maybe find that rematch against Lone Star down the way.
And Longview has one of the best running backs anywhere in Taylor Tatum. We're going to take a look at the rushing leaders, the passing leaders from the DFW area when we come back in a moment, and the Panther Creek Panthers when we come back.
This segment is brought to you by Whataburger. If you're a Whataburger shake fan, I have 2 words for you: banana pudding. That's right, the Whataburger Banana Pudding Shake is back on the menu, but only for a limited time.
Take a look at the Dallas area passing leaders, and leading the list there, Presley Harper in Class 6A from J.J. Pierce High School, Brennan Meyer, Frisco Wakeland in 5A, and in 4A, how about another Frisco ISD athlete in Braxton Roberts? More on him in just a second. And the rushing leaders, Deontay Dean out of playoff bound Lake Highlands, Javion Osborne of Forney, and Byron Eaton Jr. of Dallas Lincoln. I can't believe Byron Eaton Sr. has a son who's already headed to college. He's going to Grambling next year. One of the best DISD athletes ever, dual sport athletes, Byron Eaton, who of course football, quarterback, and basketball at Lincoln High School, and know what a basketball career he had at Oklahoma State. But let's talk Panthers, and let's talk Panther Creek Panthers. And you had the opportunity to do their game against Salina last week, and that's the way you go into the playoffs. So you'll win a game like you did last week over an 8-time state champion Salina. And
you lift the golden trophy as well to celebrate what is an incredible run. Defeating Salina is one thing. Defeating Salina in Salina time, which is near playoff time, and when it comes to district titles, is a completely different thing. There are programs that have been around for decades that have not gotten the job done there. But then you've got Panther Creek, who's just in their second year as a varsity program. Got the win. They were down by 10 with 4 minutes to play. Scored, kicked it onside, recovered the onside, went down, scored a touchdown. Braxton Roberts to Parker Ord with 7 seconds left to win that football game at Kirkendall Stadium here in Frisco. And man, what a matchup it was. And I'm excited to hopefully see those two together again. Of course, realignment will certainly throw a wrench into that, but I hope they do end up in the same district because there was some animosity toward the two programs.
I'm excited to hear from the Panther Creek Panthers right now.
I told the kids it wasn't just about what we did this week. It's about the culmination of even last year. If you want to be known as a top-tier program, you got to go out and be a top-tier program.
We didn't give up. We were down 2 possessions. Defense got a huge stop. We went down and scored. Offense, the onside recovery, changing point of the game, and offense just went down and handled business and got in the end zone.
You know, it's one of those things you've done 100 times, you know, and then you got to do it for real. And our kids really responded well to the adversity tonight and made a play when it mattered.
I knew that I could only put it where we could get it, so I went to my big guy, 6'3", went up and got it.
I just saw that play call and I said, it's my ball, let's go get it. And it just felt electric.
I couldn't be prouder for our kids and our coaches who have poured so much into starting a program. Those who have opened the school know what that feels like, and to have an opportunity to have success here tonight, beating a really talented Salina team.
It's insane. No other program has ever done this, and for us to only be in our second year and just win a district title, and we're looking for more.
Wow, Cal, you set that up perfectly. Then we had video evidence of what happened at the end of that game.
Yeah, you know, I mean, it's just one of those things where you see a game like that, an instant classic like that, you don't remember, you don't forget a whole lot. I'm interested to see what Panther Creek can do whenever it comes to playoff time. This is their first ever playoff matchup as a program. Did not make the playoffs in year number 1. So now that they've got a chance to do so, going up against the Kaufman team that just squeaked their way in, let's see what Coach Sherrod and company have in store for this Panthers bunch. Really high-flying offense. I'd be surprised if they don't put up a ton of points in this one.
All right, we're going to check out what some of the state powers are doing on this by-district weekend of the high school playoffs when we come back in a moment.
Friday Night Stars, presented by Whataburger. The buttery, flaky Whataburger jalapeno cheddar biscuit that you know and love is back. If you don't know it, well, it's here for a limited time only at participating locations, served 11 p.m. to 11 a.m.
Final couple minutes here of Friday Night Stars, and here are some of the other matchups. Defending state champion DeSoto host Harker Heights. Defending state champion Duncanville host Hutto. I'm predicting victories for both of the state champs, going out on a limb there.
Yeah, I feel like that's probably put up there pretty good for both teams. Duncanville, they, of course, aren't happy that DeSoto beat them in that rivalry game. I'm sure they're going to keep on rolling. I do have to give a quick shout-out. Yep. Back in the playoffs, the Midway Panthers out of Central Texas. It's been a minute, but they're back. They're back in the playoffs, finishing second in that district. They're going to try and make a run as well.
And you're predicting a victory in by district.
We'll talk about that one later.
Okay, maybe we will. Maybe we won't talk about the Waco Midway team next week. For Kyle Yeomans, I'm Bill Jones. Enjoy your by district weekend, and we will see you again next week on Friday Night Star.